Are you a fan of the Revolutionary War? Well, Ralston sure is. I have many terrific heroes of this time, but if I had to choose just one, it would come down to my superhero, Patrick Henry. You might think you know facts about my superhero, but here are some just in case you don't. Give me liberty or give me death. This is what people remember me most by. But I can also be remembered for many other things I have done through those treacherous years of the Revolutionary War. Sending greetings from Lawman Patrick Henry. Hello, fellow citizens. You'll be hearing about my years momentarily. I was born May 29, 1736 in Kearney County, Virginia. I had a deep affection for the outdoors and rarely put shoes on my feet, especially when I went outside to explore. I went to public school, coming home ready to investigate the unknown of the outside. Like I said, I went to public school, but that didn't last long. After I was done with that, my father taught me, and that's how I got such a great education. As a young man, I was a storekeeper, but a very poor businessman, and that is how I ended up in very hopeless debt. After I got tired of all this, I went to study law, and soon after received my law license in 1760, but just for practice. 3 years later, my talent as an attorney won me, Patrick Henry, fame in Virginia in a noted lawsuit, Parson's Cause. Of course, only 1 year later, I was elected on the Virginia House of Burgesses. For being on that for such a short time, they elected me as their leader in supporting frontier interests against old Arcresty. During the Revolutionary War, I was a distinguished statesman and attorney. Like I said before, people remember me most by for the words I spoke in 1775, right before the Virginia Provincial Convention, "Give me liberty or give me death." One time, a friend of mine said he heard a man state that he heard almost every single one of my speeches, and he said he is by far the most powerful speaker I have ever heard. He not only engages but commands the attention. Did you know that I was the first American politician called voters fellow citizens? The Revolutionary War brought many problems that caused myself to recruit state's quota of about 6,000 soldiers for Continental Army, plus 5,000 soldiers for military, and with clothing, shoes, and also cattle they sent down to feed at Valley Forge. I also encouraged mining leads to provide ammunition and imported manufactured gunpowder set up at shipyards and dockyards to protect Virginia's coast. I was also criticized in spite of all the hard work I put into all this, but especially when the forces under the General British Barlett Tarleton overran Virginia. The other years I were governor were 1777, 1778, 1784, 1785, and 1796. When I returned to my public life, all the services I left me in wretched debt, and this is why I went back to practicing my law, and luckily got many clients from the brilliant speeches. Soon after, I became a very successful criminal lawyer, and after all those law fees I got, I decided to buy some land. Then, as a few years passed, and it was 1794, I decided I would retire to my Red Hill estate in Approxima, Virginia. Also, those next 5 years, I refused too many requests to return to my fame and fortune. Some of those requests might have been a seat to U.S. Senate, post on Minister Spain and France, and also a spot on George Washington's cabinet, Secretary of State, and, a position on Chief Justice U.S. When I was elected governor in 1796, I refused to take office, but Washington persuaded me to become a candidate and representative in the Virginia State Legislature. I made my last speech during this campaign, denial of states' right to decide the constitutionality of federal laws. I also won this election but died before I could take office. I was then buried at my Red Hill estate. As for all these years I've been here, many people remember me for the quotes I've quoted. But please, remember me for the history I made and all the events I attended, and most importantly, how I helped others. Also, please remember, actions can and will make differences. Well, now I hope you have a superhero, because having one of this time during the Revolutionary War is like having one there to save you. I hope you now know tons of facts about my superhero, Patrick Henry.